The 5/16, and out in front, Star Candy under attack, a line of 4, and here comes Last Call swinging wide on the outside with Courtly Road to join, and Adora's the centre. Wickenheiser the outside, and trying to run through is G. Laurie and Cairo Consort. Last Call in front, here comes Cairo Consort angling down the centre of the track. Out in front, Last Call, Cairo Consort in second, Wickenheiser the outside, but Last Call tenacious in front, Cairo Consort in second, and G. Laurie flying home on the inside, but it's Last Call and then Nadalma. Last Call the winner, a length to Cairo Consort. On the inside, third G. Laurie, followed by Wickenheiser, Adora behind them, and 1:36.49 is the winning time. Heading down to the 3/8 in the Pattison Summer, and out in front is still 94 Expos by a length and a half. Chisler second, Stay on a Good Side third. Coming up casually on the inside now is Mysterious Night under William Buick, and is going into second spot very easily, and casually comes up to tackle this leader. 94 Expos in front by a length to Mysterious Night. Philip, my dear, winding up in the back. Mysterious Night has gone to the front and raced away from 94 Expos. And battling away is Philip, my dear, 3 or 4 lengths away. But Mysterious Night is a class above them. And Mysterious Night puts this well and truly beyond doubt. The Pattison Summer Stakes, a magnificent win. It is a fantastic 6-length margin, Mysterious Night. A praise second, Philip, my dear, third. 94 Expos fourth. 1:34.98. Through on the rail, Ivor starts to wind up, Homer Screen dropped out and marched to the arch at the top of the stretch, and it's War Bomber who went to the front with Mighty Heart Town Cruise, and trying to run through is Wakanaka, and down the outside here comes Modern Games, absolutely punishing them. Modern Games race past them in a blink, and Modern Games out in front, 2 lengths to Finest Sound, who's run to second, and this 3-year-old is a star in the Ricoh Woodbine Mile. Modern Games, and this time you can cash your ticket. Modern Games by 5 lengths. Ivor second, third Finest Sound, fourth Shell Spite, and then Town Cruise Mighty Heart, and the rest headed by Wakanaka, 1:32.77.
Hey everybody, welcome to your Future Stars forecast on a 2-year-old Tuesday. Modern Games, winner of last year's Breeders Cup Juvenile Turf on Future Stars Friday. He looks poised to just take him on down come Championship Saturday up a performance like that in the Woodbine Mile, the first 3-year-old to ever win it. And I am very thankful to have a very special guest with me, and that is Michael Banahan, who is the director of Bloodstock for Godolphin USA. What a weekend. We just saw Modern Games there, also Mysterious Night winning the Pattison Summer grade 1 race and emphatic style. Just how over the moon are you all over there?
Oh, we can watch those races again if you want to.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah, those extremely exciting, and Charlie has perfected, and his team has perfected bringing horses over here for the major turf races, especially on the East Coast, but in the Breeders' Cup as well. And he's been doing that from the time he's taken over the license and way back to Outstrip. So he's been very successful at it. He has a great rate of return on his runners that come over here. And so anytime he brings a horse over here, you can mark them down that they're absolutely teed up for those races. So it's very exciting. Nice to be able to come in and get those prep races in Canada, and then look forward to the Breeders' Cup. And I think both of those horses are very, very legitimate.
Well, I mean, just the statistics that you just mentioned with Charlie bringing these horses over. Last year, you all swept. I mean, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, again, won by Modern Games. You had Space Blues win the Breeders' Cup Mile, and then you had Ibir win the Breeders' Cup Turf. Did you expect, obviously, you just said you were loaded, but did you expect that you would take all 3?
Well, you know, Breeders' Cup is very tough to win in any of the races, and we've got in there before with horses we fancied, and hasn't been as good a day as we'd hoped for. But at the same time, all those horses come in training really well. They've won their preps beforehand, and really expected them to run well. And so it wasn't a big surprise, but probably a big surprise that you could pull out the treble on the with them, you know. So that was probably the biggest surprise. And like Space Blues, he performed very well in Europe all along and won the Prix de la Forêt the time before. Now, it was stretching him to a mile, but, a lot of times you get around fast track here, Del Mar last year, we sort of fancied that he'd be able to stay a mile well doing that, which proved that he could, especially on fast ground as well. So, no, we were hopeful, very hopeful that they were going to be able to perform like that. And it was great when it came off.
And I mean, you also, I should give mention to Nation's Pride, of course, who won a little $1 million race there, if you want to discuss that.
No, absolutely. And Nation's Pride has been great since he came out here. He was very unlucky in the first race at Belmont. Probably was the best horse in the race and just didn't get the run of the rub of the green that day. And then came back at Saratoga, ran a great race up there. William Buick gave him a beautiful ride that day. Kept on the inside. Once he came around the home turn, tipped him out, and was just very professional that day. And again on Saturday, he was even more impressive. And I think stretching him out to that 1.5 miles was really good for him as well. So I think talking to Charlie the other day, he's somewhat wants to maybe keep him for next year instead. Okay. And he'd maybe follow what Jabir was trying to do this year, come back for Sword Dancer, Man of War, those type of races, and have sort of America as his focus next year. I think that's what he'd like to do, but certainly not discounting coming back over again for a Breeders' Cup. Just depends on how he does over the next month or so back home in Moulton Paddocks.
You guys not only won these races, but we heard the call from Robert Galler, and even here with Nation's Pride going off 1-2, they really did just punish their competition. Here we have Frankie Dettori, so we got the flying dismount there at Belmont at the Big A. And I just, what is it for you with these horses, just to not only win, but to win with home brads?
It is. Like we're an owner breeder operation, and Sheikh Mohammed has given us the tools to acquire these lovely broodmares to have in his broodmare band, and given us opportunity to breed to some very nice stallions. And fortunately, we have a lot of them that we stand at our farms, both in America and in Ireland and England and in Australia as well. But sort of concentrate in the Northern Hemisphere probably. And when you have a horse of the caliber, a stallion of the caliber of Dubawi, and he is the equivalent of what probably Galileo has been to Ballydoyle, and Charlie knows those horses so well, how to train them, how to get the best out of them. And I think we're just reaping those rewards with his knowledge of those horses as well, and with a great breeding program as well, to be able to get these horses to shine on the racetrack. And with Nation's Pride being by one of our older stallions, Teofilo.
Yeah.
But Teofilo has really had been a success story in Ireland and has done really well. And he absolutely galloped. You see the video again, and he absolutely, like us, he's got a little bit of a further distance. He's got stronger and stronger. He really enjoyed the training in America, and him and the filly as well with the Moonlight. And I think they did well. And when we were up in Saratoga for the Whitney, Charlie hadn't seen him for a few weeks, whatever, but he made a comment on how well they did, and condition that they put on, and how settled they were training here, and the different training regimes between Europe and America suit different horses differently, and I think they really, really thrived when they came to America, and I think we saw that in the racetrack as well.
Yes. We do have some comments. By the way, everybody, this is a live show. So if you do have a question or a comment or a go Godolphin, just vote of support, then go ahead. You can post those. We have the best horse racing fans ever. Hello, Ren. What a week for Godolphin. We need to know who is coming over for Breeders' Cup. Congratulations to Team Godolphin. And they also went on to say, hope to see your Buick come back next year.
Absolutely, and we hope he comes back as well. He's rehabbing, and I'm sure we'll see him back. He's a lovely horse, and he'll probably get better with age as well. So we all, every now and again we're going to run into those little obstacles, but he should be back again, and we're looking forward to seeing him next year. For the horses that'll be coming over from Europe, I think Modern Games, A Mysterious Night.
Because again, we talked before the show, they're shipping back to Charlie, but then they're going to come on back again.
Come on back, yeah. And, he'd like to have them under his watch.
Yeah.
And he's probably not going to have any other runners bar for in Europe for the next month or so. And so Modern Games, obviously, come back for the mile. And then Mysterious Night for the 2-year-old race. And he looked so impressive the other day. You would think he'll just get better as well. And that was his first time over a mile. So going that extra little bit of ground at Keeneland as well, I don't think it'll hurt him at all. I think ground conditions, he's not going to be ground dependent at all. So if we do happen to get November weather at Keeneland, which we hope maybe that'll stay away, and we're going to get nice ground like we will get in California. So I think he won't be ground dependent. I think it's very exciting to have him as well. So they're two ones that'll definitely come over. And then Rebels Romance runs this weekend in a Group 1 in Germany. And he's an interesting horse in that he ran on all weather surfaces for his first half dozen 8 races or whatever. And then this year, when he came back to Europe from Maidan, he went on the turf, and he's undefeated on the turf. He's undefeated going a mile and a half. And so we'll see how he gets on first in Germany this weekend. But he's a possibility. He's probably a stronger possibility for the Breeders' Cup Turf than Nation's Pride.
Another set of Dubawi.
Exactly. Another Dubawi out of a Street Cry mare. So we always like those Street Cry mares to come back and show what a big loss he was from when he was in our stallion barn here as well. So he's an exciting horse. And I say, these long distance turf races look like it's going to be what he really wants to do. So he'll be exciting to have. And then there's a horse, a 2-year-old called Mischief Magic, that is going to run on the weekend in the Middle Park. And depending on how he runs there, he's a possibility maybe to come over for the 2-year-old turf sprint. So
how do you decide which horses you want to take on the preps here in America versus the ones you want to keep across the pond?
Well, obviously Charlie has a nice stable of horses over there, so he has a wide group that he can pick and choose from. And so I think the races that sort of lend themselves for the preps for Breeders' Cup, we had the 1 mile Summer Stakes, so that suited the Dark Angel horse. We expected that he would like to do that. And whereas this horse is a sprinter, and there's probably not anything that, like obviously the Middle Park is a Grade 1. If he happened to jump up there and win that, that's going to make him a valuable proposition down the road. And there's probably not those type of races here in America. So it depends on distance and what they need to do. And he's going to have to, he won a Grade 3 last time out, and but he'll have to step up again. But if he, probably if he doesn't maybe quite make the mark of the Middle Park quality, maybe there's a bigger chance of seeing him come over here for the Breeders' Cup.
Very exciting. Okay, we have more questions. Eric Carver. Hello, Ren from Southeast Georgia. Oh, this is a comment. What a week for Godolphin. Understatement for sure, right? Roshan says, what is the plan for Speaker's Corner, Breeders' Cup Mile? No, Speaker's Corner was last 4th in the Pat O'Brien.
Mm-hmm. So I'm actually glad that we're not just talking about our European colleagues, and we want to talk a little bit about American.
Give me all the dish. Come on, Michael.
Yeah, exactly. So Speaker's Corner, the plan at the moment is to run in the ACAC at Churchill at the end of the month. It's a Breeders' Cup Win Your Own race. We need to get him back on track. Obviously, he ran against 2 of the best horses in the country in Flightline and Life Was Good in his 2 previous races before the Pat O'Brien. And we don't really know why he ran flat in the Pat O'Brien. He came out of the race really well. He was bucking and kicking and squealing when he came out. He's trained really well when he's gone back up to Saratoga. So we're going to draw a line through it. hope that he's going to come back in the ACAC and show that he still has the ability that we saw earlier in the year. And obviously he's still got, he's one of the highest buyer speed figures of the year.
Yeah.
And if he can go back to that type of form, I think we could have a big fall for him anyway. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see how he gets on, but that's the plan at the moment.
And with Roshan, I'm sure you meant the dirt mile there for Speaker's
Mile.
Corner. Do you think there's anything to, as you said? I mean, he went up against Life is Good. He put in a valiant performance in both instances, considering the competition, right? And then Playline. Also, so do you think there is something to a really good horse getting beat that way that kind of throws their confidence off, and maybe they need to get their confidence back in the morning?
Yeah, look, I think that's what we tried to do with Pat O'Brien.
Yeah.
And I know, was it shipping? He's never really shipped before. He's gone up and down the East Coast, but that's as far as he's ever shipped. But he didn't seem to be. But he never looked like, from when he jumped out the gates, like he was there up close to the lead. But he never looked like he was running comfortably. So we no reason why. But in the back of our mind, you're thinking, okay, did he lose a little bit of confidence from running against those two really good horses and running hard against them and not getting the results, especially coming off those wins he had earlier in the year. Right. So it could be a factor. We're going to be in the same boat as everyone else, and we're going to see how he does in the ACAC, and we're hoping that he'll bounce back. And 1 turn mile at Churchill Downs, I think, will suit him very, very well. And so that's what we're going to find out.
Bred on the same cross as one of my other favorite horses, who's now standing stud there at, the full name, Godolphin at Jonabell Farm, home of the Darley Stallions.
Exactly. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Well done. You're probably the only
much.
one that knows that and can say all that.
Well, I try. I got a nice coaching exercise from Darren Fox, who's great.
Sure you did.
I adore Darren.
Darren's the best.
But yeah, this is a son of Street Sense out of a Bernardini mare. Street Sense still going strong there at Darley also. Godolphin. But one of the things I find so fascinating is just the success you've had with these stallions, who they themselves are 2-year-old champions. Street Sense, Breeders Cup juvenile winner, 2-year-old champion, goes on to win the Kentucky Derby, first horse to do that. Then you have Nyquist over there, Breeders Cup juvenile champion, goes on to win the Kentucky Derby. You've got Midshipman over there, champion 2-year-old, and won the juvenile. And now he just had Fun and Feisty win the Pocahontas Stakes at Churchill the other day.
Yeah, that was very exciting for him, and it was so cool to see him with an up-and-coming 2-year-old like that. And I know Kenny McPeak seems like he's keen to go to the Alcibiades, and so we sponsor the race. So we'd love a midshipman filly to come and take that money and bring it back home and get a Grade 1 win for her and head on to the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland then as well. And he's had plenty of success doing that. So we're excited to think that she can improve again and get that elusive Grade 1 win for him.
I'm just wondering, have you gotten any interest in midshipman mares in particular, considering the success that we've seen with Golden Pal, son of Uncle Mo, out of Lady Shipman?
Yeah, look, midshipman has had to do it the hard way. Obviously, Lady Shipman was his probably best, and she was unlucky that she was Grade 1 quality, didn't win one. But
the 2015, that was not.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but and it's just, you go back to the program. There's a great program for lots of horses, but you get sprinting fillies like that. It's hard to find a race for them, and if you do, they're no great quality. And so I feel bad for horses like that never get the opportunity to have that Grade 1 beside their name, even though there's that quality. So going back to her. She obviously is a very good broodmare, as well as being a very good race mare as well. And I don't think we've seen, I don't think Midshipman is going to quite do what Bernardini has done with his broodmares. Yeah. But saying that, it takes so long for those broodmares to come through. They can still be filtering through, in the next 10 years as well. So I think it just shows you that he can get a good broodmare as well. And and even from sort of, if you want to call them more blue collar stock, and the same with this filly. Like I was looking at the sales results, and every time she went through a sale, she made more money between the foal and the yearling and the 2-year-old sale. So obviously she showed and it matured well, and then to come and win the Pocahontas the other day was exciting, So I think there's a big future for her.
Well, the other thing that I found to be so interesting, and maybe this is just me noticing a pattern that doesn't really exist, but I feel like it is. I feel like it does. I feel like I've seen enough horses who have had this cross, and they end up showing precociousness and just getting that maiden win early in the 2-year-old season, and that's Nyquist over anything AP Indy.
Yeah, look, he's done very well with AP Indy Cross Bernardini as well, and so it's very good at the moment, and Nyquist, he just needs to jump back up again with a couple of good horses. I know we have some nice yearlings by him, nice foals and yearlings by him, so we've a lot of faith in him that he's going to continue on and even do better. Probably a little bit disappointed in some of his results this year, but he had a really nice horse out there earlier in the year called Scalding, and I'm not really too sure what happened to him. He ran the Stephen Foster and haven't seen him since. But he's a talented horse, and we just need to get them back on board again. And I'm sure Nyquist is going to bounce back. He covered an awful lot of nice mares over the last couple of years and with full books. So I would expect him to bounce back there and have some serious runners on the racetrack over the next couple of years.
Well, we have more comments and questions. Jay says, another great interview. The guest always makes it, that, but he also goes on to ask, how do you decide what horses go to what trainers?
Well, it's a combination of what we do, and some of the easier ones are if they've trained a half sibling successfully. I don't think they'd be very happy with us if they looked up and they saw someone else training one of them. So we tend to send those back to them, and then we'll, from distance wise, what we think the horses might like to do, surface wise, and we try to balance it up as much we can with a nice selection to all the trainers. And whether we're successful at doing that or not, who knows? But we have had all our trainers have won with Grade 1 races over the last couple of years with horses we've sent them. So it's been nicely divided up and well balanced. But some of that's a little bit of luck as well.
Okay. Well, we have a question about another homer here in Cody's Wish. To Breeders' Cup Sprint or Mile, we just saw him put in that tremendous performance in the Forego, breathtaking, really, getting up over Jackie's Warrior. And there's such a great story behind Cody's Wish's name. So if you can basically lay it out for us.
Yeah. Well, we'll go back to the backstory, and obviously Cody Dorman, who was a kid that was had this Make-A-Wish Foundation trip that he was going to Keeneland, and we sponsor one of the families or one of the kids on that every year, and he was our chosen kid. So we always like to invite him out to the farm as well beforehand. So he went out to Gainsborough, and great credit to Danny Mulvihill out there who manages our farm there, and they gave them a great day. It's just blind luck bringing out Cody's Wish as a foal. Tried to get a quiet one. Cody is wheelchair bound and non-verbal, so we wanted to be careful as we could. And anyway, this foal, we brought the foal out. He had this sort of instant connection with him and went over and nuzzled him and whatnot, and had a great visit. And so we go 2 years later, was in the middle of the pandemic. He was maybe not doing very well, and can't express his emotions as well as we can. And his family thought that maybe he was a little bit depressed, and called up. And Mary Bourne, who's our office manager in Gainsborough, has been in contact with the family all along, and called up and said, any chance of maybe coming out and seeing a horse, and not knowing that he was in Kentucky. If he was, and he happened to be, because he was on on a rehab with Johnny Burke in our barn at Keeneland, and lo and behold, he was here. So yeah, we brought him out, but he was full of vim and vigor, and going out and just thinking, okay, how's this going to work out? But again, the horse just sort of like calmed and saw him in the wheelchair, and he wants, the horse is going over closer and closer. This might not work out at all. And he laid his head on Cody's lap, and he stroked him a couple of times and said, okay, we've got this done, let's separate again. And so he had that connection. And so he has loved this horse all along. And Danny Mulvihill has kept in touch with his dad all along as well, and told him, where he was and what he was doing and whatnot. So anyway, to go to when he couldn't break his maiden up in New York and Saratoga for whatever reason it was, and ended up coming out to Churchill Down, the family got an opportunity to go to Churchill and see him running, and of course he breaks his maiden that day, so that was fantastic. And Churchill were very accommodating with the family to get him up and down elevators and into the winners enclosure as well. And so it's been a great story all along, and so they've really enjoyed that journey, and I think it's been a great boost to the family, especially through the pandemic as well, that they've had something that they can focus on, and something for Cody that he can focus on. So he's been a big part of the story, and it's been fantastic. So Cody's Wish himself is absolutely doing great. Came out of Forgo in fantastic shape, and that was his first time winning under a mile. So that was his first 7 furlong win. So we weren't really thinking about the sprint as much. We were thinking Breeders Cup Mile, and big thing with Keeneland this year, it's not going to be a 1-turn mile, which we'd like to have it for ourselves, because he's done that very well. But he's in great form. We're excited about bringing him to the Breeders Cup. We're going to train him up from the Forgo to the Breeders Cup, and similar to what he did when he won the Hanshin at Churchill Downs, similar time frame, and it worked really well. So that's what Bill Mott wants to do with him as well. So hopefully it'll work well going into the Breeders' Cup.
Love it. Jay says it right here. Beautiful story, touching. That's awesome, and it is. So I don't think I could come up with anything that would do it justice to follow up with my own thoughts, other than, the story itself says it all. You mentioned something about the 2 turns for that. With the win in your ins that we saw at Woodbine this weekend being a 1-turn turf mile, what do you think for example, Mysterious Night going the 2 turns for the first time when he goes and takes on the mile in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf?
You saw him finish the other day. I'd be pretty excited.
Yeah.
It looks like the further he was.
It looked like he could have got, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first time going over a mile. He has been crept up from 6 to 7 to a mile, so it would look like he'd be in his favor to go even further as well. Yeah. So I would be excited about seeing him doing that. And Modern Games, he has that American experience already. We're golden there, I think. And I think if he got a run down the inside the other day, he would have won even easier again. Like, he had to weave his way through a little bit, got pushed out a little bit by Luca Camani's horse.
Fine, yeah.
Ed Christopher's, Simon and Ed Christopher.
Right.
And he was, he didn't have the easiest passage through there, but once he got clear, he put on the afterburners, and he was gone.
Isn't that remarkable? Both the horses had to show a lot of patience and guts to get out there. For a while, I thought, oh my gosh, they've got Modern Games boxed in.
Well, as well as William Buick is riding, and he's probably one of the top jockeys in the world, with his confidence in the horses that he's riding for Charlie and for Godolphin. And you saw it in Saratoga as well with the double on that weekend. His confidence is sky high. He's riding so well. And so I think when you have a jockey of his ability on the back, on a horse's back, you can sit there and be confident that he knows what he's doing, and he's going to make the right moves at the right time.
Yeah, he doesn't panic. And on top of it, talking about his confidence, but at the same time, he's so humble. I met him in the elevator at Le Berge after the Breeders' Cup in 2017. He had won on Wajeda, and we're I was staying there with my husband, Matt, and I look over and here's this young man with his suitcase, all looking like he's ready to go to the airport. There's the after party still going on. He had to get back across the pond. And I said, "You're William Buick, right?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Wow, after the great day you had, you're just going to fly out." And it's about the work.
Yeah. He was probably going to the Melbourne Cup or something. He probably a bigger
Bigger
fish
fish
fry as well. Yeah.
He doesn't have time for champagne.
No, I'm sure if it was going back just to ride some work at Molten Paddocks, he might have stayed and had some champagne as well.
Yeah,
but
right.
he's a lovely guy. As you said, very humble, and he's mastered his craft through his time with Andrew Balding as an apprentice, through to John Gosden when he was with John Gosden, and what he's doing for Charlie and the Godolphin horses. So he's a great team player as well, and wonderful guy to have on the back of the horses for us.
Definitely. And just going back, because I am a petty geek regarding, just a few things. First, the pedigree of Mysterious Knight. One of the things I find very interesting is just the inbreeding to Machiavellian. I mean, the fact that, so he's by Dark Angel. Dark Angel's dam is a daughter of Machiavellian. And then his own dam, Mysterious Knight's mother, Mistrusting, by the way, who's already produced a full sibling, Althika, who's a multiple grade 1 winner, won the Just a Game and the Diana. So not too shabby there. You knew the crossword.
well, it seems like, why are we running them anywhere else, only America? Because it's so well here,
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that people forget is, so Mistrusting's by Chamardal, and I think people forget that not only is Chamardal by a horse that we love here too, who was Cartier horse of the year back in 2000 in Giants Causeway, but Chamardal is out of a full sister to Street Cry.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's and sometimes maybe you think that some of that can get a bit close at times, but it certainly worked for him. And Chamardal was a fantastic stallion for us and had a tremendous record. And we ended up unfortunately losing him too soon, but he was a phenomenal horse and complemented a lot of our mares with his speed. And he was a great racehorse, and we felt lucky to have him, and we'd love to have more Chamardals down the road as well, So hopefully, Mysterious Knight can and Dark Angel has been such a phenomenal stallion in Ireland as well, and he's one that's come up through the ranks all the way through from an inexpensive stallion, and he keeps on hitting the heights, and he gets winner after winner. I think on the weekend when Mysterious Knight won, I think he had 3 graded winners in 3 different countries. So he's hitting all the targets that that are right in front of him.
And then going back to modern games again, it can't be stressed enough about Dubawi and just the success that he has had internationally. But we don't want to forget also that Dubawi himself was son of Dubai Millennium and obviously greatly beloved by y'all. And then Dubai Millennium, I think people forget, he's by Claiborne's Seeking the Gold.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, you go back, you don't have to go back very far where America and Central Kentucky was the source of a lot of fantastic racehorses, and I think somewhere along the line we've lost a little bit of that transferring of some of the sire power in America to Europe, and we've got too focused on their only dirt and they need to stay on the dirt. And Northern Dancer, probably one of the greatest sires ever. I don't think the only time he saw grass was when he was eating it. And, Derby winner. But, Vincent O'Brien saw the magic in him and couldn't get enough of them, and, brought all those wonderful horses over to Europe as well. So I think we need someone brave enough to want to do that. And but I can understand why you do what's been done before. And I think we're a little bit, we're not as brave as maybe people were in the past to want to try them on different surfaces as well. And you think back to what Secretariat did when it was only raced on grass, and I don't think anyone else in the last 30, 40 years or whatever, would be brave enough to do that with their maybe the best racehorse ever, you know.
Well, it's interesting what you say because, for example, we just mentioned Giants Causeway 2000 Cartier, Horse of the Year. Only ran on the dirt the one time, running second to Tiz Now in the Classic. He's by Stormcat. We think of Stormcat as our guy here, right? And then you know, you just mentioned Northern Dancer Cyrus Nijinsky, who wins the English Triple Crown, the first horse to do that in like 35 years, and no horse has done it since. And then, of course, all those other sons he has, and we've got Nureyev and the Sadler's Wells. I mean, just everything that's happened in there. But it is very interesting in seeing these dynamics come to play. Now, as far as a stallion that's another global sensation, and he's your elder statesman there, the Dagli d'Oro. I mean, what is he, 23 years old now?
Yeah, 23. Yeah, and still going strong, looks great. You know, obviously, you can know that he's a little bit older now, but he's in great shape. Physically, he's very well.
And El Prado.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and El Prado, Sadler's Wells go back. Yeah, and he's probably better on the dirt. He's probably better on the dirt, but he's got plenty of grass winners as well. So I think you see that combination in there as well. And I suppose we're very lucky in America in that we have a lot of grass racing and we've obviously lots of dirt racing. So we don't have to go too far to try them on either surface. Whereas you go back to Giants Causeway and to try him on the dirt, you're going to have to just have faith that he's going to be able to take to the dirt, you know. So we can find out and get that proof fairly readily here. But Medaglia is super stallion for us. We've obviously we've had a lot of luck with him as well, and he's a horse that we keep using and we use constantly, and he's a great source of pride that we have a horse of that ability here, and you know he's the linchpin of the stallion barn, really, you know, and we need the young guns to come through there to help him with some of the heavy lifting now as well. So Nyquist and hopefully Essential Quality will be doing that as well, you know.
Exactly, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. And Lawrence Anthony, he's saying. No, Lawrence, I did say Northern Dancer sire Nijinsky. I didn't say he was by Nijinsky. he's got a comment here. No, I know. Not only did Northern Dancer sire him, but I mean, just like so many of the stallions have gone on to be sires themselves, and we've seen like, oh gosh, I mean, when we look, who do you have a favorite one of Northern Dancer sons by any chance?
Well,
there's so many.
You know, like a horse that I was enamored with when I was younger, just because he was so spectacularly good, was a horse called Little Grand Seigneur.
Oh yes, and he was named after the famous trainer.
Exactly, the trainer. So he was like when he won the 2000 Guineas and he beat a great field of horses that day: Rainbow Quest, Lear Fan, Chief Singer. It was a spectacular field, and the way he won it was just unbelievable. So like I've always had a soft spot for him. But saying that, you know, I'm probably much more Godolphin centric, and Dubai Millennium was, you know, he was a superstar, and you know, with the, you know, unfortunate what happened to him on the gallops, who knows how good he could have been, you know. We saw how good he was, but he could have been better than that, you know.
Right. Well, the other thing that I always think is so interesting when I look at the pedigree and Northern Dancer real quick, I'll say who one of my favorite studs is by him, apart from Nijinsky is still like, to me, just so cool. I think he was so underrated just because the quality. He stood there at Claiborne, but so we had the success here with some of his progeny, and then of course overseas. But Danzig, I mean, just the speed from Danzig was always so. I think it was said that he ran so fast that you almost had it was almost a concern because he would. Was it 3 starts though? I think he had. I can't remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't many anyway for sure. And but yeah, they said he was he was unbelievable talent that he showed in the morning. Was it Woody Stevens trained him, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and like we're we've one of his great last Suns here with Hardspun, you know, and
Yeah.
Hardspun's been a great success for us. He's you know, he gets lots of great stakes winners, and he does very well on the racetrack. He's probably more of an owner breeder type of horse, but if you want to get your mare off on a good foot, he's a great value. You know, he's $30,000. He's great value to do that. You know, and he's been a great stallion for us here. You know.
Well, going back to the stallions that you've got there. Oh, I do remember one other thing. I don't want to let it slide because it just came back to memory. When you were talking about Secretariat and the turf, Ron Turcotte, I've said this before in the show, guys, so I'm sorry. You're going to hear me repeating myself. He had said that as good as Secretariat was on the dirt, he still thinks the horse would have been ultimately 15 lengths better on grass.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I mean, we got that taste of it in Canada, but I mean that kind of raises the hairs a little bit just to think.
Well, I think you go back to what a lot of people will say, that they're really, really good horses. They could run on any surface.
Yeah.
But most of them aren't going to try a different surface. Now we've got, you know, Giant's Causeway. We've got a few of those ones that have done it, but it's not often. And usually when they do it, end of season, they're probably maybe on the back end of their form as well. So we probably don't get to see that really, you know.
No, I mean, Round Table is a great example of a horse that he'd throw down either surface at any point in his career. I think he's got records on both.
Yeah.
He was carrying like 136 pounds or something. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of my favorite horses who I feel doesn't get as much attention as he should. And, but I could go on and on, but I don't want to take your time. Originally, when I was booking you, I thought we were going to do this at the sale. I was like, yeah, we'll be 15, 20 minutes. But now that we were doing the sit down, I was like, oh, we'll do a show, but I still don't want to monopolize your time. One of the horses I'm very excited about that you have there standing at Godolphin at John and Bella Farm, home of the Darley Stallions, is Essential Quality. I have a big soft spot for this horse. Not only because he did win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but also because I hung out with him after he did win it, and he had just this delightful personality on top of it. Just really cool, chill. He was eating my hair. No, he wasn't eating it for real, just nuzzling. But in any case, he's just a super cool horse, beautiful. And he is, in my opinion, and I would think anybody who has common sense, he is the perfect ambassador for what the Future Stars program is all about, because we want to showcase these 2-year-olds that we're hoping are going to shine bright going forward into the next chapter of racing. And I mean, what more do you want from him? He ran too good to lose in the Derby, but he won, I mean, the Jim Dandy, the Bluegrass, the Travers, the Belmont. And so to do that in this 3-year-old season, and he was third in the Classic against older horses. So this is a really exciting horse who's coming in not only with all these accomplishments, but just a tremendous pedigree as well.
Absolutely. And look, we're extremely excited about him. He was, you know, homebred horse, never had a bad day. Once he went into training, as you know, being broken as a yearling and went into training, he never had a day off. So, you know, we've so many horses now that are going to need breaks for one reason or another. He was one that never did. So his constitution was amazing. His limbs were sound. And he's gone through this generation of horses that didn't need any medication on the racetrack either. That's so right. He was, you know, that first group coming through. So I think that, you know, it shows you, you know, the quality that he was, and being able to do that medication free as well. And a lot of his races, you know, he had to knuckle down and run hard as well. And to be able to do what he did, you know, win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then backing that up into the longest classic that we have as well, and being the only horse that's done that, was fantastic. And, you know, we were maybe asking for too much to hope that he was going to join Nyquist and Street Sense as a Breeders' Cup Juvenile Derby as well. And, and everyone saw the race, and they can judge on who they thought was the best horse in the race. But, you know, I think the the people that handicapped the races
The ground loss.
and gambled on him the next time, they were in no doubt who was the best horse and who they made favourite for those races afterwards. So he was great. He was such a great horse for us. As you said, he's a great ambassador for the showcasing the future stars. Breaking his maiden up at Churchill, come back at the Breeders Cup, or in the futurity, then now win the Breeders Cup as well. So it's fantastic horse for us, and what a crop of horses that is as well. We've got him in there, and obviously the horses that he beat as well. Midnight Bourbon and Hot Rod Charlie and Mandel and all those type of ones in there, and then to follow through with as 4-year-olds with Speaker's Corner and Cody's Wish and Flightline and Life is Good, and to me it's an amazing crop of colts from that year, and I don't know the last time we maybe saw that high quality of that number in the one crop.
I'm gonna put your feet to the fire here. In the Classic, taking out any hats you may be wearing, if it is between Flightline and Life is Good, who wins the Classic? Or is there another horse?
Well, I think both very, very talented horses, and I just hope that Life is Good goes and wins the Woodward, and we see both of them turning up on the day. So I think it'd be fantastic for the industry, fantastic for the Breeders' Cup, and for any fan that's out there and any participant in the industry. I think that's what they want to see. Exactly. The two best horses in the country going at each other. Now, probably Bill Mott and his camp would probably want to say, what about Olympiad as well in there?
You're right.
But, he came back, bounced back, and I know they were, when they were disappointed in the Whitney, and so they got their opportunity to come back into Jockey Club and win that. So I'm sure they're going to go in there with confidence that maybe their horse can pick up those pieces as well. So it'll be. I think hopefully all those horses will turn up and will get there to the races. Obviously Flightline looks spectacular, and if you go on raw numbers, he's going to be the horse to beat, really, but it's going to be exciting, and I hope all those horses turn up and we get a spectacular Breeders' Cup Classic.
Well, just to put it back into perspective and back into the conversation regarding Godolphin, one of the things you're mentioning with Flightline, right now the top-rated horse in the world, but also, he's a dirt horse. But then you've got Baid, the undefeated, incredible. And that's why when anybody was looking at Modern Games, we already know Modern Games' body of work, but the fact that he even that he got within what was it, a length and 3/4 of Baid when he ran into Sussex, and then Baid, of course, went on to win the Juddmonte International after that. How could you not make that horse the prohibitive favorite?
Yeah, no, exactly. And as good as Baid is, to get that close to him, so it'd be like some horse getting within a length or 2 lengths of Flightline.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's going to be 1-9 or whatever. So I think winning the French Guineas earlier in the year, ran a big race in the French Derby, had a bad draw that day, probably on ground that didn't really suit him at that time of the year. It was a little bit on the soft side. Again, and running behind a horse called Vadimi, who was
who went on with the Coral Eclipse.
Yeah, exactly. So he's probably one of the top 3-year-olds in Europe.
Yeah.
And then, he ran a 7 furlong race, probably maybe a little bit short for him, and then bounced back again against Baid, and then we saw what he did on the weekend. So his form is rock solid. Yeah. Very, very good form. So, everyone's going to have the running shoes on to take him on. And, we actually, we have another couple of horses in the States here that we're hoping to maybe get to the Breeders' Cup. So we have Santon, who's won the Orange Million and the Turf Classic up in Churchill. So he's going to run on the Coolmore Turf Mile. I think that's what it's called now, at Keeneland, and see how he does. So we might win there double-handed, depending on how he gets on. And so maybe not give it to him just on a platter, get, you know, we'll stand up for America a little bit as well. And we have a nice filly that called Carmel Swirl, who we might have a look at running the Breeders Cup filly mare sprint as well. So we might have a couple of bolsters on the American side to add to our Breeders Cup contingent.
Well, I love it. Okay, so I have taken your time. I've took now 50 minutes in. I'm sorry. I hope you're having fun. Is there anything else that you want us to know about the racing side? Anything that's going on at Keeneland that with the sales side or the studs? Anything?
Well, I think, you know, hopefully people saw how well Street Sense did at the sale for horses standing, you know, the last couple of years at $60,000-$70,000, and he had horses making, you know, high six figures, 8, 650, 500 grand, you know. So he's been a fantastic stallion for us. Results on the racetrack, and he probably got a little bit of a, you know, reputation as being more of a filly sire than across the board. But we put that to bed with horses like Maxfield coming along, and he's done so well the last couple of years as well. So I think people have gone to the sales with a lot more commitment to want to buy a Street Sense as well. So we're so delighted that he's doing as well as he's doing as well. And you know, I think, you know, on the racing front, obviously we had a great weekend, but then, you know, even on the local front, we had a great day on at Churchill. People might be paying attention, but we had 3 winners at Churchill on Sunday, and we had a really nice filly called Pretty Mischievous, an intimate filly that won very nicely there.
Is that a Pretty City Dancer?
That's her, a Pretty City Dancer, yeah. So we like her a lot, and hopefully we can see her over the course of the next couple of months and see what she can do.
Well, that's very exciting, and this has been so much fun for me. I can't thank you enough for your time. I thought, since we already went over all the reasons why Essential Quality is such a great ambassador for the Future Stars Friday program, that I would close the show with a great, basically a montage that Godolphin yourselves have put together of Essential Quality when he won the Grade 1 TVG Breeders Cup Juvenile. Oh, let me make sure I didn't leave anybody out in terms of. Stuart says, this has been terrific. Great conversation. Thanks so much from Dorset, UK. Looking forward to book one in Newmarket soon. Do you go over there?
No, and I haven't been over there in a while. No.
Oh, okay.
We've been enough to do here in America. There are plenty of people over there that know what they're doing.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Well, again, Michael, thank you so much. I'm going to close out this show, and at that point, you are free to bounce. But again, I just have to thank you profoundly. This has been so much fun for me. I really do love hearing all about the horses, the breeding theory, and getting excited along with people when you, especially you have these types of prospects like Mysterious Night, again, the winner of the summer, and Modern Games, who just wowed us, putting up a 112 buyer and becoming the first 3-year-olds to ever win the Woodbine Mile. Really incredible, and defending, and he's a great ambassador too, because he won the Juvenile Turf. So there you go, right? Yeah. You've got that transition.
Yeah,
exactly. I will say before I'm going to hit the play button on this, for everybody else, of course, got to give love again to Last Call, who won the Natalma Stakes, the Johnny Walker Natalma Stakes. Natalma, of course, the dam of Northern Dancer, who we were talking about earlier. So big congratulations to all of her connections as well. We do have Win and You're In action for the Future Stars Friday card coming up on the 23rd at Newmarket. A Win and You're In for the Juvenile Fillies Turf is going to be the Rockfell Stakes, and then the Juddmonte Royal Lodge is on September 24th. It's a Win and You're In for the Juvenile Turf. So this has been your Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday. Thank you so much again to my special guest, Michael Banahan, who is the director of Bloodstock at Godolphin at Jonabell Farm. The Darley Stallions. Got to work it in one more time. Thank you again so much. We're going to close out the show with Essential Quality winning the 2020 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf at Keeneland.
They're off in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. An Essential Quality in fourth as they make their way to the top of the stretch. Jackie's Warrior strikes the front. Hot Rod Charlie circles up on the outside. The two of them will turn for home together, and Essential Quality is trying to get them. Here's Hot Rod Charlie, a huge long shot at 94-1, coming into the final 16th. But Essential Quality runs by. Jackie's Warriors giving way. Essential Quality's going to do it. Essential Quality has won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Fantastic performance, champion 2-year-old honors. I would have to think follow this performance. He's an amazing colt, dual grade 1 winner at 2, around 2 turns. He's a fantastic colt. Hopefully bigger and better things to come as a 3-year-old.